Hello. In this video, we are going to talk about this house. Right? This is the house. Hello. In this video, we're going to talk about this house. So this house is basically the house right next to it. I love doing that. I like when I lag and if I go back in time, I pretend that everything I say, I have to say it all over again. But basically, we're going to talk about this house right here and stuff. And I like really saying that when if I go back in time. I forgot what I just said, so I'm going to do it again. But we're going to talk about this house, and then we're going to talk about all these different block piles surrounding the house. We'll first talk about the block piles surrounding the house. So we'll start with the anvils, right? We left off over here, so we're going to go beyond this gateway, right? I call the gateway the anvils. I like that one. That one's good. So for the anvils, basically, there's two gaps in the anvil stack, right? There's one right here and one right here. So you can think of it, there should only be two gaps in the anvil stack. And that's really it. See, one gap, then it's fake. I like saying that, right? For these cakes, notice it's basically, if you were to push this cake to the left and this cake to the left, these two holes would be filled. So really, there's two holes in the cake stack that you just gotta be familiar with. So if there's one here and one here, so if there's one here and one here, then it would be fake, right? That's really what you gotta realize, right? For these anvils, it's basically, if you see like an anvil in this slot, you see three anvils in a row on the top of the stack, or two anvils in a row on top of the stack, then it would be fake, right? Just like that, right? Just like that. Now, for these bookshelf stacks, we actually saw this structure in the previous video, so for this bookshelf stack, we actually saw this structure in the previous video with the hay bales. As you can see with the hay bales right here, we also see that same thing with the bookshelf stack, right? So really, like any deviation from that, it'd be fake. Like two on top of each other, two in a row. Again, two in a row. It turns out if you go to what's behind the stack, it's the same thing, right? So it's basically symmetrical, right? So that's really all you. So it's basically symmetrical. So that's really all you have to know, right? And so it's sort of really similar to the back of the hay bale stack, as it is what we see right here. For the what we have over here, we have some melons. For the melons, it's basically you have a square of melons like this, and then four melons to the side. So if you see it squared off, I like that word, squared off like this, or if you see it squared off like this, it's fake, right? Or if you see a square like this, so that would be fake, right? Just like that. So basically that's all you gotta know. This melon should be by itself as well. For this gateway, I like that one, gateway, right? There's also two gaps in this anvil stack as well, just like for the anvils over here, right? Two gaps and two gaps. So if you see one of those gaps filled, that's how you know that this is a fake anvil. Right, just like that, right? Just like that. But we're gonna keep going over here and talk about the block piles over here. These ones are gonna be really quick because they're really not as important. This cauldron stack is actually really important though, for some reason, right? There's two holes in the stack, right? You see this hole filled, that would be fake. If you see this hole filled, that would be fake, right? And that's really what you gotta realize is those holes. You could also sometimes see a cauldron in this corner right here. Right, that would be fake. Or if you see two cauldrons in a row in front of the stack, it can sometimes happen as well. So that's basically it. You'll also sometimes find flower pots inside of these cauldrons. Just in case you weren't familiar with that thing, right? I like when I say that, like it's obviously something we're familiar with, right? It's funny to talk about that. Alright, next we're just going to talk about the block piles over in this direction. Starting with this bookshelf stack, for the most part it's really not that important. It's something that for this bookshelf stack, for the most part, it's really not that important. I like doing that. Because really it's just something you'd encounter on radar. So I guess you can memorize this slot if you want. You can memorize this hole if you want. Right, but for the most part, it's not really that important. Like you can see, like squared off right here. I like that word, squared off, like that. Or if you see three in a row like this, two on top of the stack, like this would be fake. Like just like that. Right, for this melon stack, again, it's really not that important. You should be familiar with the fact that you sometimes find hiders behind the melon stack, like right here. Something like that could be fake. Right, I guess three in a row sometimes happens. A melon on top of the stack. For the most part, it's really not that important. For this hay bale stack, again, for the most part, it's really not that important. I like talking like that, it's really good. So like, there's basically two spots right here that they could go, so you just gotta know that it's fake. Right? Oh, so there's basically two spots right here that they could go, and for the most part, it's fake. Right? Like you see a melon like this, I mean a hay bale like this, it's fake. I sort of just kind of view it like it looks like the letter C, but the top part is more elongated than the bottom part. Right, just like that, right? Just like that, it would be fake. So it's pretty easy. Now these melons are actually a little bit more interesting than the melons over here, because they're just more interesting, right? So really, if you just kind of look at these three melons, you can sort of walk across them. So really, these melons, in my opinion, are actually a lot more interesting than the melons over here, just because I think they're more interesting. So if we start out with it, right? For instance, if you look at these melons that you can like walk across, right? There's like a total of 6 melons, right? 3 melons you can walk across right here. 3 melons you can walk across right here. There's also a total of 5 melons on top of the stack, right? 4 right here and 1 right here. So if you see like a melon on top of any one of these 3 melons right here, then it would be fake, right? 3 melons right here, then it would be fake. I had to repeat myself because that's what I like to do, right? It's fun. Also, there should be no melon in this slot right here, right? That would be fake, right? Just like that, right? Just like that. But there's also a slot right here you could sometimes find a melon hiding. So really, that's all you gotta really memorize, right? I guess that's basically it. Again, you'll probably encounter with radar, so you don't really have to worry about it too much. So we've talked about all the block piles over here. We're not gonna go over the bookshelf pile or the TNT pile until we talk about this house, because in my opinion, we associate the bookshelf pile with this house. So in my opinion, we associate this bookshelf pile and this TNT stack with this house. Why? Because I just think that way. So that's why we're going to talk about that in the next video. Right? But we do actually have another block pile surrounding this house. Actually 2. We have this cauldron stack and this TNT stack. For this cauldron stack, right, there's a hole right here that they can hide in. Right? So that would be fake. Basically, you're looking for 4 in a row. So if you see 4 in a row, or again, 4 in a row, it would be fake. Right, but also you shouldn't see it squared off right here. I like that word, squared off. So if you see it squared off right there, right, or if you see it squared off right here, right, that would be fake. Shouldn't see it go way too long like this. You should never see 3 in a row, right? That's basically another thing you should look for. And that's basically it for the cauldron stack. As for the TNT stack, notice how you actually have the fish structure right here. So you just gotta basically memorize the fact that there's a fish structure right here. So any deviation from the fish structure, like this would be fake. There should be no TNT on top of the fish structure. I like that word, fish structure. Like you should never see 6 TNTs in a row, right? That would be too many TNTs in a row, right? That's basically it. I have nothing really else to say. I mean, you can sort of memorize that there's 3 TNTs here and 3 TNTs here, but don't memorize it, right? But you've already memorized it because I just told you, right? I love accidentally memorizing things. It's so fun. So now, let's talk about the inside of this house, right? So for the inside of this house, it sort of does have a few gateways. Not gateways, roots. Sorry, gateway was not the correct word. Root. We'll talk about roots in another video. I like that word, roots. Right, but basically I think of this as the garage. I don't know if it actually is a garage, but I'll call it the garage. Right, we do have a door right here leading to this area. Going over here, you have 2 possibilities, right? This way, you have this little opening. Turns out you can actually go back inside this opening, right? And then in the other direction, this is our kitchen and dining room, and kitchen and dining room, and then back to the outside main opening, right? This is basically this house, right? Let's start with the garage. Now for the garage, the anvils face the same direction over here. They do, so you shouldn't see an anvil on top of one of these anvils. You shouldn't see 3 anvils. You shouldn't see 3 anvils in a row. I wanted to do a long repeat. I didn't. Alright, 3 anvils in a row would also be fake. For these furnaces, I think of the number 5, right? I like that one. I think of the number 5, right? I like doing things like that. Like, I think of the number 5. I think of a number or whatever. So for these furnaces, I think of the number 5 because we have 5 furnaces right here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 furnaces here. Right, the reason why I think of the number 5 is because you have 5 furnaces right here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 furnaces right here. So really, that's all I got. That's all you got to memorize is the number 5. And so, I guess you could sometimes see a furnace in this slot, right? Or you could sometimes see a furnace in this slot, right? You shouldn't see a furnace on top of one of those 5 furnaces. That would be fake. So that's basically it for the furnaces. So now, we are going to move over here to the living room. For the bookshelves, it's basically sort of, you have like a letter L with a square of bookshelves on top of it. But there's really only 2 possibilities, right? You see a bookshelf right here, or a bookshelf to the right of it like that, right? Just like that, right? Just like that. That would be fake. Now this is sort of similar to the hider spawn house of Plexville, but what you'll sometimes actually see is a flower pot on top of one of these couches. Now this is sort of similar to the hider spawn room of Plexville, but really you'll sometimes even see a flower pot on top of this couch. I love doing that. That was good. I like doing that. But like, on top of this couch you'll sometimes see a flower pot. So it's really all it is. Now in here you can also sometimes see a flower pot on top of this bookshelf. And also you could even see a bookshelf on top of this bookshelf as well. So now you can sometimes see, okay, I morphed into a bookshelf. You can also sometimes see a bookshelf on top of this bookshelf as well. So it's really the whole idea of it, right? That's really all it is. I like doing that, right? That's basically it for this room, right? Nothing else is in it. We head over to the dining room / kitchen. There is a slot against the wall. You can see an anvil, flower pot, furnace, anvil, flower pot, furnace. So there is the spot where you can see an anvil, flower pot, furnace, anvil, flower pot, furnace, hiding right here in this slot, right? So you just gotta pay attention to that one. You can also sometimes see a flower pot hiding on top of this. I just don't feel like morphing to a flower pot. I like doing that. So now we head over here, right? You should never ever see 2 flower pots on top of this table, right? That would be impossible. I like saying that. So the next we have the cakes. Come on. So now we have the cakes, right? If you see a cake in this corner, aka 4 cakes in a row, that would be fake. You see a staircase. I like this word. It sort of looks like bowling pins. You have 3, 2, 1. But sometimes I like to call it the staircase, right? 3-block staircase of cakes like this. That would be a fake cake. Fake cake. I like that one. Now the bookshelves, this is our last section, sort of. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4 bookshelves. So did you see how I did that? 1, 2, 3, and 4 bookshelves. So like I just think of that in order, like getting higher and higher, sort of like parkour, right? It's like you're getting higher and higher. So I think of this as the parkour stack. So if you see a bookshelf right here, you see 3 bookshelves on top of each other. That's really what you're looking for, and that's basically how you can memorize it. You can also sometimes see flower pots over there. That's basically how I memorize it. You can sometimes see flower pots over there. That was good. I like doing that. Alright, the other thing you could see for this house is you could sometimes see hiders get on top of the house. And that's really the last thing. The way that they get on top of it is they get on top of this hay bale stack. And they make the jump like that because it's so easy right now. I'm sorry, I like doing that. And that's really all it is, right? They can get on top of this house. And that's basically it for this video. And I finished it in perfect time because I'm so good. I like doing that. Okay, but you're good. That's